Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gabbing with Gabby. And today I have a super duper special guest. This is my very, very good friend, Maria Johnson, who I've known forever. And Maria is the number one person of why I'm doing fitness and teaching ripped and insanity. I started with taking Maria's classes and we met in a gym. Surprise, surprise. Like every person I interview on here is like, I know them from the gym. So we met at the gym. We've lived in the same neighborhood. We have kind of intermingling friends that kind of, that know us and each other and just kind of have always kind of sort of crossed paths a little bit and started taking her classes and started teaching at the same gym. And we had this beautiful community of women at a gym and we took classes 5 days a week together and taught together. And she was the one who said, "Hey, Gabby, you should be a ripped instructor." And I thought, no way, Maria, are you crazy? There's no way I can do that. I'm a yoga teacher. I can't do choreography. And she pushed me. She pushed and encouraged and fostered me and supported me. And I'm here today teaching fitness classes because of you, Maria. So thank you so much. And I'm so excited to have you on here today. And everybody that I've told I'm interviewing Maria today, they were like, yay, because we roll in the same circles. We're both fitness instructors. We're both local in our neighborhood. We're both, known for fitness. People have seen us teaching together. We were ripped twins in San Diego for a long time. We've done outdoor boot camps. We've done inside boot camps. We've done, all kinds of things. We've gone to workshops together. We met Sean T together. That's my ultimate goal, Maria, to interview him on here
Oh
on Gabbing with Gabby.
my God.
That's my ultimate goal. So thank you for being on here. I'm so happy that you're on here. Maria has an incredible, incredible story. When Maria turned 50, she had the best birthday party ever. And then she got some really terrible news. She lost her eyesight. She has what's called LHON, Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. But the incredible story about Maria is that you can't stop her. She continued to teach, she continues to blog, she continues to speak out and be an advocate. And she's got such an incredible journey. I'm so happy that you're here to share it today. Take it away, Maria.
Wow and wow. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. And you just took me through memory lane. I mean,
I
really.
did, yeah.
I remember the day I was like, you should be teaching this. And you're like,
Hmm.
no, no, I do yoga. That's all. That's what I do. I do yoga. And here you are still killing it in the fitness world. And we've had some great times in the fitness world. Team teaching, we team taught a lot, which was
Yes.
fantastic. It was not only teaching, but we really gave the people what they wanted, with the both of us having our own strengths and our personalities, and all the way up to the boot camp, and went through that.
Yep.
But yes, things did take a turn for me, and I had turned 50. And yes, I agree 1000%, best party ever,
Yes.
on my 50th birthday. And let's see, about a month and a half after the party, I got the diagnosis that I had LHON, which you already said was Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. And what that is a mitochondrial disease that causes sudden and severe vision loss, mostly central vision loss. And I am left with low vision, which is for me some peripheral vision, although it's very blurry and grainy. It does give me the ability to still be able to see things magnified and see contrast, and actually get around a little bit on my own. They call it travel vision, because it's just enough, and I use that. I maximize my peripheral vision to kind of fill in what I don't see right in the middle of my vision. So I don't see people's faces. I can't read text in the normal way. I don't see colors very well, pretty much non-existent. And the hardest part is I can't see faces. I can't see my children's faces. I can't see my friends' faces and family.
Hmm.
And of course, I had to give up driving. All those things happened within a period of 8 months from the time I noticed a little blur in my right eye. And I remember you and I sitting at park benches and in cars talking about, like, there's just something going on, but it's
Hmm.
probably nothing. And, you were kind of with me the whole way because we were teaching classes and we are doing the boot camp. And I was going to doctor's appointment after doctor's appointment after doctor's appointment and test after test. And then came the steroid treatments and I couldn't teach for a while. And you would always keep the classes up to date. And then came the diagnosis, which currently there is no treatment or cure. So it was basically, you're going blind. And it was devastating, to say the least. That wouldn't even come close to describing, how I
No,
felt.
right. Yeah.
No way, no way.
Hmm.
And but I went into denial for a long time. And denial's a great place to be, but no, you can't stay there. You just can't stay there forever. And it got to the point where my vision had declined so much that I did have to start figuring out how I was going to continue on, just with everything, being a mom, being an instructor, um, just living my life, and
Hmm.
having a lot of abilities taken away from me because of my vision loss. So, and you were there for me and supported me so many times. We would sit in the car before class, after class, and I was in tears. And
Hmm.
you said to me, and I've told the story before, I just said, I just can't believe this is happening. And, I just appreciated you giving me rides and picking me up and taking me where I needed to go, including our own classes. And, I felt like such a burden in the beginning. And you said, it's just an extension of our friendship now. That's just what I do. And I was
I'm
just like,
actually gonna start crying.
I was so blown away. I mean, honest to God, I was so blown away.
Yeah.
Talk amongst
I'm
yourselves.
feeling verklempt.
Talk
Oh my
amongst
God,
yourselves.
This is the first time I cried on my own show.
I'm sorry.
It's
Aw,
okay. No,
but
it's good stuff. It's a
I
good
I
cry.
it's because, it's, that's how deep it went, for our friendship. And, this is about you and I. We're Gabbing here.
Yes.
And I remember it was in my driveway and we were sitting in your white car, a
My
couple cars
Camry.
ago, and a couple cars ago, and I
Yeah.
was just like, God, like, wow, that was just so
Hmm.
powerful to me. And I thought, I'm not a burden to her. I'm not a
Hmm.
burden. And of course, I wasn't a burden to anybody, but you go through
Right.
that when you start having to depend on others for help. And so, we carried on for a while with our boot camp, but then, just for safety reasons and things, we had another talk in the car or a picnic bench or what it was. And I think it was right after I got the diagnosis. I had you come over and I said, I just don't, or it was after that, a little while. But I said, I just don't think it's, I can do the boot camp anymore. I mean, if I can't see what people are doing and all of
Yes.
that, and I just said, you continue or go on, do what you want. I'll be that cheerleader on the side, and you do what you want to
Hmm.
do. And you were thinking of getting into personal training at the time, so it was just we just kind of decided, well, all right, maybe it's just we'll just stop
Hmm.
it at this point. And I mean, everyone understood, obviously. So we
Hmm.
kind of went, we kind of still taught together at times, but we kind of went our separate ways as far as teaching. And you went off and got, you went to personal training. You were teaching at other facilities because that did open
Hmm.
up some time. And I kept teaching at Being Fit. And
Hmm.
I never did stop teaching, only when I was told to by the doctor for steroid treatments, things like that, only under doctor's orders. But I s- I've kept teaching ever since, even
Hmm.
blind. And people said,
Yes.
like, they go, you're blind. I go, I'm a fitness instructor first. I'm blind second. And yeah,
Hmm.
I probably am one of the only blind fitness instructors, but I've been doing it for so long, and I had
Yeah.
just been RIP certified myself probably like 4 months, and I started to have problems with my vision.
Yeah.
And so luckily I knew the format enough that I could continue to teach it
Hmm.
very easily. And I was able to, again, not being the burden, I was able to get friends that, you and I know, pick me up and take me home after every class. They help me do my music.
Yep.
They, do playlists for me and
Locked people out.
volume, lights, everyone, every, yeah, everyone joined in, no matter, one way or another. And that was really, I mean, that moment was so, oh my God,
Hmm.
overwhelming again, because, people were willing to help. And,
Hmm.
when you kind of like, no, I'm the helper. You're like, I help you guys. And they're like, but you've done it for so long. Let us help you now. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh God. So that was how I was able to continue with not being able to drive and everything. So yeah, so was doing that up until COVID, and well, that kind of shut that down.
Right.
So but you know, life also changed dramatically in other ways. It was, trying to figure out my new normal.
Hmm.
Um, I started, after a while, I started therapy and group support because I really was struggling with, how am I going to be a good mom was huge for me. How am I going
Hmm.
to know when people are mad at me or sad? I can't see
Right.
facial expressions. Like that was a big concern for me. How am I
Yes.
going to still go to my kids' activities? And how am I going to do all these things that I was super involved in, band, and I was, Molly was the swim team, and all these things, and it was just so overwhelming, so overwhelming.
Hmm.
It was really hard to get my feet on the ground at first.
Yeah. And you found, well, before I move on to that, I just want to point out something about people helping you. When people, I think it's natural for people to feel like a burden whenever you need to ask for help because we just don't feel like we deserve it, to be honest, right? And that's our own internal struggle. But what we miss is that it brings other people joy to help someone else. It brings them lots of joy and it makes them feel good. They feel useful because they can't give you in your situation, they can't give you your eyesight back, but this is something that they can give you. And it makes them feel good because it makes them feel useful. But it's hard to accept that help. It's hard to say, okay, I'm going to let you because I deserve it. Because there's a part of you that doesn't feel like you do. And I'm not just saying you, I think
Yeah,
that's normal for a
yeah,
lot of people to feel that way, right?
yeah,
So I
yes.
just wanted to point that part out because it is hard to ask for help, and but it's also almost disrespectful to take it away from other people, right?
Absolutely. In general, I think that's super, super true. And until you're like knee deep in it, you really you until you can see it that way, um, you just don't understand it. And somebody said
Yeah.
to me a long time ago, you're taking away a gift from somebody else. They want to.
Hmm.
That's them helping you as a gift they're giving to themselves. It makes them feel good. Gives
Yes.
them a purpose, and you're
Hmm.
taking that away from them. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
And
hard
then
to see the other side.
yeah, and I know, was having that conversation in the car that day, was I said, I know, but I you said you would do it for me, and I said, I know that's different. I
Yeah.
know I would do it for you, and that's different because, but why are you doing it for me? Like I couldn't,
Yeah.
I was
I
just so spun out in my mind, about all of it.
know.
But it was like, yeah, of course. I remember you threw your back out one day after, I think it was, you were teaching a class, and you literally left. This was at the gym in Poway, and you literally
Oh, I
left with
remember
a ice
that
pack on
day.
your back.
I
And later
remember.
that day, I went and I got a basket full of just goodies and stuff because I just wanted to do
Salon
that.
pause.
Salon
The
paws, and
salon
I don't
pause.
know, granola bars, and stuff you can
Yeah,
put right next to you, and you didn't have to go to the kitchen. You could just eat from the basket. I don't know.
I
So,
remember.
but I remember, it was just something I so wanted to do, and
Yeah.
they were redoing the streets. I remember having to park like 4 blocks away, took that basket, and I walked through the tar and all that stuff. And I'm like, God, I'm doing this. I am getting this to her, whether, I
Oh.
get tar everywhere, or the trucks are going by, and gave it to you. But again, it was, I had, I wanted to do that because it made me feel good to be able to do that for you. So,
Yes.
it is a thing, and I wish I learned that sooner than later.
Hmm.
And now, it just all makes so much sense. And I've learned that's been one of the biggest lessons I've learned is asking for help when you need it. One, two, accepting the help when offered.
Hmm. Yes.
And it's and what's great now so much is that I don't have to ask so much for help because people just know Maria can't drive, or Maria can't, XYZ, because of my vision. So people just do it for me, or they just go, I'll pick up Maria, I'll take her home. I don't have
Yes.
to ask anymore, because
Nice.
they just know.
Yes. So, and we left off before we got sidetracked on that. I think that's an important piece of information for people to hear because it's something that anybody can relate to, for
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
Um, but when you started going to, well, you found out the information and you knew I need some support. And in a situation like that, you definitely need people who can relate to your situation and not just someone going, "Oh, I understand. It must be really hard for someone who hasn't lost their vision." You
Hmm.
actually need to be around other people who are going through the same thing. And you found the San Diego Center for the Blind. Is that the first place you found?
Yes,
Mhm.
I found the San Diego Center for the Blind, which offered counseling and group support,
Mhm.
which was that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted is I just
Mhm.
needed to find out how I was going to do this. I really, people said, "Oh, you need to learn Braille." I'm like, "Huh? No." "You need to use a white cane."
Oh, I
No.
remember those
You
days.
know,
You were like,
yeah.
"Hell no, I'm not using this
Oh,
cane."
I am not doing a cane
You
because
were
I'm not
pissed
that
at that
blind. I'm
cane.
not
Yes.
that blind. Like, that's for blind people.
I
I'm not that
remember.
blind.
Yes.
And, it was, you need to learn to use ride the bus. You need to learn how to cook. You need to learn how to, walk. You need to learn how to wash your face. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It was so
It was too
overwhelming, but
much.
it's too much. It was too much. It's too much. And here, this is a magnifier. Here's some free books. Here's, whatever. And it was like, no, no. And they go, did you scrapbook before you lost vision? I'm all, what? Was we have scrapbooking class? I'm all, what? I mean, it was so, you're what? So I knew myself. And I knew I needed to get my head wrapped around everything before I could actually put in the effort to learning new skills and techniques and
Yes.
assistive technology. I had to get my head right that I was now living legally blind unexpectedly, and I needed to really get grounded with that. And
Yes.
so going to Center for the Blind for one-on-one counseling and support groups, which I went to every week for a year and a half.
Wow.
And it was like the best day of my week. Um,
Mhm.
and I really worked through a lot of things, a lot in the individual counseling, but group support, and again, can go across the board. Group support showed me that other people were doing it.
Mhm.
It showed me that life wasn't over, and they
Mhm.
showed me, even actually it was group support that actually got me to use a white cane, because people were talking about, whoa, my friends and I, who were all blind, we all went to Seaport Village this weekend and we did this and we had our canes. And I'm like, they're going out and doing things independently because of the
Yes.
cane, and the cane gives
Mhm.
you independence. And I thought, that's what I want. I want my life back. And
Mhm.
so, the Center for the Blind is, a wonderful organization. And I went through, like I said, a year and a half till I kind of was said, well, you're good. And I wasn't so much in crisis anymore. And, I'd go into therapy and just be, talking about the day, and, and group support. I actually stepped in as a facilitator a few times, when the facilitator wasn't there. And all of a sudden, like, Maria, would you mind running the group? I'm like, yeah, oh, sure. And I love that. I love that. I love
Yeah.
doing that. And then I didn't find, but I knew about the Braille Institute here in San Diego. And who knew it was right behind PF Chang's? I didn't, but that's
I
where it
didn't
is.
either. Yeah, right.
It's right there. Yeah, because we go to PF Chang's, we don't go any further.
Yeah,
And
right.
but again, why would we know? We were not blind.
Yeah.
So, or have anyone in our life that's blind. So I started going there and taking classes on learning techniques and skills
Yeah.
in the kitchen. I learned assistive technology. I learned,
Mm-hmm.
um, gosh, I even took just some interest classes just with other, it's just other blind people there. And but the best, well, the most I learned was in the morning when we all would get there, we'd all get coffee, which we all know me and coffee. I'm all about it.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
we'd sit at these tables, and it was before class started, and I learned more at coffee and at lunch, during the lunchtime, from other blind people than I learned in any class that I had. I
Mm-hmm.
learned that, they all take Uber and Lyft. I'm like, blind? Like, oh my God, what? They all took paratransit, which is, the short bus,
Yeah.
for MTS. My
Yes.
daughter, yeah, my daughter called it that, not me, but whatever. But took the paratransit, which is for people with disabilities. And, driving around, picking up kids from school and taking school, I saw that bus all over the place. And I was always like, oh, that's nice. And then I was riding it and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow. So it's for people with all disabilities. And they rode the bus, and I'm like, well, if they can ride the bus, so can I. Again, it was one of those, they're doing it, I can't, maybe I can too. So, and those are
Yes.
things I just learned in having conversation with other folks who are, they may have been born blind, they may have lost vision later in life, like myself. Um, you know, vi- Blindness is such a spectrum, but they all would bring their advice and how tos to the table, and I would just soak it up, thinking like, well, this is where I'm learning some of the good stuff, some of the tips, tricks, and hacks that they don't
Yes.
teach in class. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Blind life hacks. And one of
Blind
the
life
things I
hacks.
remember,
I'm
yeah,
sure that's something.
that's a blog somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, it is, I'm
You
sure.
I remember one of the things with the cane because that was a big thing. I mean, there were a lot of milestones along the way. That I think the first one was giving up your car and the
Mhm.
driving. That was
Yeah.
a big one. And then like I think the next big one or close to it was the cane. And I
Yeah.
remember you telling me with the cane that someone said to you that the cane isn't just for you, it's for other people around you because they someone looks at you, they're not going to think that you're blind because you're pretty capable out in the world, right? And
Yeah.
the only way they would know is if you had your hand on someone and it clearly looks like they're guiding you. But other than that, there's no, sign over your head that says I'm blind.
No.
You know,
No.
you're just
No.
walking around. So it's not it's something that you can point out as an outsider walking around. But that cane is that sign. It helps you, but it also makes other people aware, get out of the way because,
Yep.
I'm visually impaired and, it's just easier if you're out of my way and I don't have anything that I'm going to bump into or whatever. And it just kind of makes other people around you like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, let me just move out of the way, give her some
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The person that said that was my doctor.
oh, yeah.
He early on when I was having a lot of appointments, even post, diagnosis, he said, so, and we got to be, pretty close after going through a diagnosis like this. And he said, so Maria, have you thought about using the cane? I'm like, no, like, no way. I am not using a cane. That's again, like I said already, that's for blind people. I'm not that blind. And I wasn't going to do it. So he said, you know what, Maria, it's not all about you. I'm all, it's not. I mean, this is the kind of banter we had, but then he got serious. He said, Maria, and I go, listen, he goes, just like you said, Gabby, the white cane is also for other people to give you that little bit of space, so that, when you come through, you're not going to run into people, shopping carts, trees,
Hmm.
electrical
Yes.
boxes, or, whatever it might be. But especially, I can't see people until they're literally within 2 feet in front of me. Other than that, they kind
Hmm.
of just disappear. So it is a great way to part a crowd without saying a word. You just,
Yes.
here I come. And especially in like crowded areas like airports or conferences, things like that, where there's a lot of people. And I just can't maneuver that without getting some sort of help. And the cane speaks for me and says, I'm going to need some room. I can't see. And,
Hmm.
so once I, you know, once I kind of got that in my mind, I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, I see your point."
Mhm.
And then now I have like 6 canes, I have a couple different colors, and,
Yeah.
all of a sudden I'm like a cane addict. And, I bought colors, and now I realize the benefit of the cane not only for myself, but for other people to know that I'm gonna need a little extra room, or, just basically get out of the way.
Yes.
But you'd be surprised, Gabby, at how many people just don't they see the cane, but they don't understand what it's for. They think it's a
Yeah.
walking stick. They think it's just a regular cane, like I need it to for assistance, like for physical assistance, like walking
Yes.
type thing. Or I've had people jump over it, like,
What?
oh yeah. Oh yeah, I've had people jump over it a few times, and I'm like, "Are you kidding?" And if I got it just right, I would have whacked him right up between the legs, like,
Yeah.
how's that feel?" And I've had people not get out of my way, and because they're
Oh
on
my
their
goodness.
phone or
Yeah,
whatever,
they're not paying
and
attention.
they're not paying attention because people are busy, and where they're looking at their phones. And
Yes.
so that thing hurts on the ankles. So I'll just start swipe, you sweep back
Yeah.
and forth. I'll just sweep real hard, real wide, and it
Yeah.
gets their attention pretty quick. And then they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, sorry, 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 sorry." And I'm like, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Look
the
up. That's what I'm always trying to teach my kids. Look up. Look at the world when you're
Yeah,
walking. Don't look at your
right, right.
phone.
And it could just be just don't want to run into people altogether. But once I got through the acceptance of the cane and realized what it could do for me,
Mhm.
it was a lot easier to come to grips with. And once people saw me with it, and I was more comfortable, and I wasn't so self-conscious about people staring at me, because I had to get over that too, because it really does scream you're blind, and I didn't want to
Yes.
be looked at as blind because I was still trying to
Mhm.
come to grips. And now it's like it's no big deal because I just know it's just for the best for everybody.
Yeah, and it's just a part of who you are now. It's
Yeah.
who you are. You weren't ready to accept that. You had to process each step of the way, each
Yep.
thing. I mean, you couldn't just it's that's impossible for anybody to do, to find out this information, any kind of, life-changing event, and then to turn around the next day and be like, "I'm fine with it. I'm just going to grab
Right.
the cane and grab this and grab that and just be and
Yeah.
move on." It's quite an adjustment. You had
Yeah.
to
Nobody.
had to
Nobody
rethink your
is.
life.
Nobody's diagnosed and told you're legally blind, and you walk out and you grab a cane and start walking with it. It just doesn't happen that way. I don't care if people say, "Well,
No,
I did." I go, "Yeah, well, I don't." It just doesn't happen smoothly
it
like that.
takes a bit.
It does take a bit, and I did go through one of my most popular blogs is the 4 stages of white cane acceptance, and it's been shared like thousands of times because you do go through a denial and maybe I'll try it, and maybe I'll rock, then you get to I'm going to rock this, and you just have to
Mhm,
start owning it. Like so many things,
mhm,
you just need to own it. And then
mhm,
you just do it and own it. And
mhm,
that's just what I did. But the key for me, because I do have low vision, which I explained in the beginning, I can use it when I feel it's necessary. And
mhm,
so I don't use it all the time. I do let people guide me. And if that's what I feel like doing at that particular day or moment, that's what I'm going to do. But the cane is my call. And I figured that out a long time ago. Don't be telling me get your cane out, because then I'm going to be like, no, no. So it's my call on when I use
yeah,
it, and I know when it's appropriate for me.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And you mentioned your blog, Girl Gone Blind, which is something that came out of one of the many amazing things that have come out of this. Um, that you started writing a blog, and you're also a little bit of a rarity in this with this LHON, because isn't it common for young boys between the ages of 18 and 25 that
Yes.
this, well, it's kind of like a silent
It,
bomb almost,
yeah.
isn't that what they call it? Yeah,
Yeah, there was a book actually written called Born with a Bomb.
yeah,
It's a genetic condition that typically affects males between 18 and 25, give or take. And they usually they become affected, meaning there's a mutation in the mitochondrial DNA that you don't know you have, unless someone in your family goes blind. And then all of a sudden
Hmm.
it's discovered. So in my case, I was female. I was, 50 years old, and what they teach ophthalmologists and neuro-ophthalmologists is it's a male disease. It happens to males, and that's just not true. My doctor knew it happened to females, but it's so rare that it's usually one female to three males, so like 25% female. And
Hmm.
typically, for females, it happens post menopause when hormone levels get change. And so, if you figure, females have a lot of estrogen, and they feel like estrogen is a protector. So females typically are affected later in life, although females get affected anytime, but it's just lot less. And then males are affected mostly in that range, and then later on in life. So you're never safe from it. Let's just say you can be affected at any age. I know men who've been affected in their 60s. I know a woman affected in her 80s. But I
Wow.
also know, but there's also 5-year-old little boys. My well, it is in the family. So I was the first one to become affected. So we found out it was in my family. It's passed through the maternal line. So unfortunately, I've passed the genetic mutation to my children. So they carry the mutation, and they have the chance of going blind at some point in their life as well. Knock on wood, it never happens. Again, my
Hmm.
son Bryce, 50% chance. Molly, less chance until she's older. But now that we know, she can be put on hormones and whatnot. Now, my sister has two boys, and my older nephew, he actually lost his vision to LHON at 18. So there
Hmm.
are two of us now in the family, my nephew and myself, who have become affected. And
Hmm.
so the males don't pass it, but my daughter will pass it to her children, and her children will have a chance, unfortunately, of becoming blind. But again, it may happen, it may not happen. And why did it happen to me at 50 and my nephew at 18? Like, no doctor can tell you why. No
Hmm.
doctor. So it is a really wide range. And then because this is such a rare disease, that bringing some awareness to not only blindness but also to LHON, I started my blog, Girl Gone Blind, in
Hmm.
January of 2014, 3 months after I was diagnosed. I go, I'm going to write a blog, and I can't even see my keyboard.
Yeah,
So
right.
do it. And I always, you and I talked about writing a blog with Can't Fit Girls. That was our
Yes.
boot name.
Oh,
And
can't
we
fit
never talked,
girls.
yeah, Can't Fit Girls with a
Yeah.
Z, with a Z.
Yes.
Um, but we didn't, again, it was like, yeah, we'll get to it. We didn't really know anything about blogging. So I decided to start a blog, and I wrote that first blog in January, launched the blog, launched the first one. And, it was a huge success. I mean, people were just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I had no idea this was going on, because I told them all about, the disease and what had been going on. And it's been really, really well received all around the world. It's been shared. It's given me some great opportunities to be on, to host podcasts, be on podcasts. I was a guest, a guest on a radio station in the UK for over 2 years. I did a Thursday segment every Thursday, and that was super fun.
I
And
bet that must
yeah,
have been
it was
super fun.
it, that
Yeah.
was yeah, that was really, really fun. I miss doing that. I actually help organize a LH1 conference that we hold every summer, and I do a lot of speaking there. I moderate panels of other fellow LH1 folks, and we have round tables and things like that. So that's been really neat that I've gotten involved with that. Literally, 2014. Yeah, 2014. I was asked to
Almost
speak.
immediately because you made
Yeah.
connections with
Yeah, yeah.
people
One of the
who
biggest one of the
started this, and yeah.
biggest advocates lives here in San Diego, and her and I
Hmm.
connected right away, and she was like, "Oh, all right."
Yeah. She
It's like,
snatched you up
I'm
right
really,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry this has happened to you, but you and I are going to be connected, and we will be doing things. And sure enough, we have. And
Hmm.
it's a huge community presence on Facebook, which is basically like a big family of support. I've met so many people through being diagnosed with LHON. I mean, I always say they're, the friends you never wanted to have, but we're really glad we do. I didn't want to be friends with any of them, none of them, but I am so thankful that I have so many of them in my life that have really gotten me through, and could relate to what I was going through, which is super important because, quite honestly, my friends, my local friends, and nothing against any of my friends who have been more than amazing, they just didn't understand, what going blind was like and living blind. And nor would I want them to understand that because that would mean they were
Mm-hmm.
blind. So I wanted
Mm-hmm.
them, friends like yourself, to learn how to help me. And I had to learn to help myself so that I could teach others. But also, I wanted to share with the world what it was like to go blind later in life. And, the blogs in the beginning are really kind of raw and dark and deep because it was, I just laid it out there. I mean, I laid
Mm-hmm.
it out there. And
Mm-hmm.
then, I think one of my first blogs does, after you and I went shopping, we went shopping and we were buying, I needed more like workout pants.
Uh-huh.
And, it was one of those things. Gosh, I'll have to post it. But I
Yeah.
remember going, how does my ass look in these? You're like, dang girl, looks good. I mean, you know, I can't see myself in the mirror. So it's like, you
Yeah.
have to ask this stuff, right?
You gotta
So
ask. You gotta have someone who can do the bend over test for you.
exactly. Exactly. So, it's, the things I've learned along the way, and things that I write about that, but it's to let other blind people know, whether they were blind at 18 or 50 or whatever, that they're not
Mhm.
alone in their thoughts and feelings, but it's also to educate the sighted community. What is it like? I had
Mhm.
no idea. And so what is it like? What do you go through? What shouldn't we assume about blind people? It is hard to accept the cane. There's over 150 blogs there now, and they cover so much. And the blogs kind of changed through the years, and I just kind of updated my logo and stuff because, I feel like I'm grown up now, and kind of headed into some other things now. I just became a certified speaker, and
Yeah.
I'm doing some applications to do a possible TEDx talk, which I would love to do.
Oh,
And
that's amazing.
yeah, I just did a talk, which is kind of a pre TEDx, through an academy I just went through, and it's going to be up on YouTube in the next couple of days, so I'll be sure to share that. But I came up with an impactful talk about choosing possibility over disability, and how I went through to see that there was possibility living with a disability, and I didn't have to choose
Mhm.
my disability. I could choose possibility.
Oh,
So
amen, sister. That's perfect.
yeah, yeah, so I'll be putting that out soon too.
Yeah, that's really great. Maria, this is such an incredible story. There's just no stopping you. When people ask, my mom knows you and, a
Mhm.
couple other people, how's Maria? And my first response is always, ain't nobody stopping Maria.
Ain't
She's still
nobody put me
going,
in a
man.
corner.
There, nobody's putting baby in the corner. Yeah, I just tell him, yeah, there's no stopping her. She's doing, and list all the things that you're doing, and their eyes these just get bigger and bigger. Like, wow, that's incredible. Yes, she's an incredible woman.
Oh,
I mean, it wasn't easy. It
no.
wasn't easy. It was not an easy road, and you had a lot of persistence, and you had a lot of people around you that you felt safe with, that you could cry or stomp your feet or I don't want this,
Yeah, oh,
you
yeah.
know
No,
there
absolutely.
were those moments, and you have to go through those moments. You have to in order to get to the acceptance, because like you
Yes.
said, it wasn't your choice to get your disability, but it is your choice
No.
to live your life differently,
Yes.
and you
Yes,
definitely found a
very true.
way.
Very,
Yeah.
very true. Amen, sister.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Please share with everyone all the different ways that they can find your blog or ways that they can find you. And we will post it at the bottom in the description below, but go ahead and verbally
Okay.
say.
Okay. As we just talked about my blog, you can find that at girlgoneblind.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Girl Gone Blind. You can find me on Twitter at girl_gone_blind. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Maria Johnson. So you can connect with me through any of those platforms. And I'd love to hear, from anyone. If you can relate, if you want to talk, if you, just encouragement and needing
Mhm.
support, whatever it is. That's where my life is headed now. That's where my life is. And like pretty soon, watch out, I might just be sharing a TED talk one of these days.
Oh, I'm sure of it. It's not even a question. I'm positive that you will be because you've set your mind to things and they happen. And I think it's important anyway. It should be out there. Anybody who's who's making those decisions of whether or not it should be on TED Talk is going to be a fool if they don't think that that's something that somebody should post, right? So yeah,
Thank
I'm positive, and by the time this video comes out, it might be there. So I'll post that in the description below
you.
as
Okay.
well if it's
Oh yeah.
available then. But
Okay.
you'll be posting all that information on your Girl Gone Blind and on your social media. So if you follow her, you'll
Yes.
be up to date with what's going on. So be sure to go and follow her. Be sure to go read some of those blog posts because some of them are they're just incredible and they're heartfelt and they are raw and it will open quotes, finger quotes in the air, open your eyes to what it's like for people who have lost their vision and and maybe when you are out in the world, you'll have a little more awareness and a little more empathy and look up from your phone to be
Yeah.
aware of what's around you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that could go for just anybody with disabilities or,
Yes.
because and the thing is too, a lot of disabilities are invisible. So, but if you see someone needing that extra hand or help, please do so, because it does
Mhm.
mean the world. And it's, the, becoming, gathering up a little more compassion and empathy in the world. I mean, we all need that now. And a lot
Yes.
of those blogs, you may be able to apply to a situation you're in. It's not just, replace vision loss with something else. And it
Yes.
would be applicable. So I try to keep it, some of those blogs a little more generalized. When they really feel good for me, I want them to feel good for someone else.
Yeah. Yep. Amen, girl. That's
Thank
what we're all
you.
about here, right? That's what we're doing on this on Gabbing with Gabby. That's my
That's right.
intention here to inspire people, to educate people. Thank you, Maria, so, 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 so much for being on here. I totally love you and adore you. And I'm inspired and in awe by you every day, all the time. And
Oh,
it'll never go away.
thank you so much for having me on. I love you and adore you. And, you've been a tried and true friend for so, so, so long. And I am, and it will be that way forever. And I appreciate you. And I appreciate you having me on and look forward to listening to many, many, many more Gabbing with Gabby. You have amazing guests. And I'm so happy to be one of them now.
Thank you. And you can help me with podcasts in the future because that's another thing that I want to do.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I love
Yeah.
podcasting. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. All
Thank
right.
you so much. So check out the description below with all the links to reach Maria. And thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time on Gabbing with Gabby. Bye.
Bye.